It's 7:40 a.m. Here's Cathedral Rock, and today we're heading up. Going to try to hit the top of Kyle Canyon, the South Ridge, by a couple, well, there are two approaches behind Cathedral Rock that are unmarked. And so what we're going to do is take the second approach today and see how things go. See if we can get to the top of Kyle Canyon. So here we go. Okay, as I mentioned, there are two potential approaches. This is the first. Behind Cathedral Rock here. In fact, there's Cathedral Rock over in this direction. Let's get a better look. Very beautiful in the early morning sun. Okay, so coming up the Cathedral Rock Trail, we've ascended about between 300 and 400 feet. And here is what looks like a potential approach. I do not know, and we'll try that at some point. This is the first potential approach to the top of the South Ridge of Kyle Canyon from this area. I haven't tried any of them yet, but we're going to go for the second approach. To give you an idea of conditions here, it is the first Saturday in November of 2019, and the temperature when I started was 31. I think at this height we're under 30 degrees at this point. So those summer adventures are nearing an end, and I'll be hitting the lower mountains soon. But I still want to scope this area out. So I'm going to continue up the Cathedral Rock Trail. By the way, I began around 7,200 feet. It's 7,680 right now. My altimeter may be a little off, but we're going with relative elevation gain here. So we're continuing on up. Let's see, as I mentioned, we're under 30 degrees and started out about 740 from the South Climb Trail. I thought it was going to be closed at this time of year. It has been in the past, but actually the South Climb Trail is still open. So I didn't have to do a traverse from the Echo Trailhead. Saved me about a 40-minute round trip. So anyway, it is now 8:01. So it's been about 20 minutes. Not much time on the trail so far. Give you an idea of timing. Of course, we take away the time for videos, but and you can measure that by how long it takes you to get to this point in the video. Okay, onward and upward. By the way, I can hear water flowing in the canyons up here, which means that there is moisture, which means that there's probably frozen water, which means that some of the rocks I'm going to need to climb over may be pure ice. And so if I hit a cliff that has ice on it, I'm definitely not going to try to scale the ice cliff. I'm not prepared for that. And that's not what I like to do anyway. So I'm going to get as far as I can, and we'll just see how far that is. Okay, further up and further in. Here is the second opening, right up here. And yeah, both of them unmarked. This is the trail down Cathedral Rock. Here's the trail up Cathedral Rock. There is the backside of Cathedral Rock. And yeah, this is the direction we're going to go today. The goal is to see if I can get to the south, up to the top of the south ridge of Kyle Canyon without any major rock climbs, just scrambles. We'll see. That's quite a tall order, I'm sure. Anyone who has been up this way may say that, hey, you can't do this, but let's just see how far we get. And to give you an idea of timing, when I get to the top of the South Ridge, if I make it up, the success would be getting up to the top of the South Ridge with about 2.5 hours from the South Climb trailhead, which is the same time it would take me to get there going the regular South Climb trail. If I can do that or better, then this is an awesome route. Here we go. Onward and upward, further up and further in. I haven't gone very far. This route is already getting pretty messy. If it gets too tedious, I'm going to turn around and try the other route. There's the direction we're headed, up the south ridge of Kyle Canyon. Probably head to the right of that rocky cliff area. And as I said, I haven't gotten very far. There's that tree that we saw the other side of the tree just a moment ago. Here's a beautiful view of Cathedral Rock from the backside, and Mummy Mountain in the background. So continuing on up and heading up this wash. Hopefully it's not going to be too rocky and difficult. If it is, I'll go and try that first approach. Continuing to rise up this wash. From the nature of and there's the upward look, from the nature of the brush here, I would say, and just looking at this wash, I would say very few people have ever traversed this route. I don't see many signs of passage up here. So hopefully we're not going to end up at a cliff system that is impassable. And as I say that, take a look up here. See, there is a series of cliffs up there, and I don't know if they're passable or not. Of course, we'll find out if we even get that far. But beyond, I think if we hit the top of where you see the sun right up here, I think we've made it. But there's quite a bit of rough terrain between where I am and that spot, and that may even be a false summit. So we don't know at this point. But we're continuing up. As you can see, it's fairly tedious, very rocky terrain down here, and we'll just see what happens. Continuing up this aspen choked wash, and the closer I get, I am thinking that sunspot up there with the trees, I think that is the top and not a false summit for the south ridge of Kyle Canyon. The reason I think that is that those trees up there look like part of the burn. And when there was that fire on the other side of the south ridge of Kyle Canyon, it would have gone up to the top, right up to this point, and then not made it down the hill. So I think that is the top, and it's just a matter, can I continue on up? I tell you, if I get up there, I'm not coming back down this way. What I'll do is I'll go down the South Climb Trail back to the trailhead. But at any rate, this is kind of a cool little experience. So far, there has not been anything that is difficult other than just navigating all this brush and rocks and alongside of avalanche slopes, as you can see. Let's see if I can turn around and, without slipping on these rocks. I'm standing on the side of a rocky slope right now. Okay, here we go. Turning, turning, turning. Yes! Okay, and there you can see we're looking down on Cathedral Rock at this point, and you can see Mummy. It is a very beautiful area, but I tell you, for traversing the area, it's definitely not something that a trail runner would run. It's very slow, tedious going. But who knows? Maybe it'll be about the same time. I'm hoping it'll be the same time up to the top of the canyon. Anyway, yeah, turning around looking back, here is Coxcomb Ridge, and as I mentioned, Mummy Mountain over here, some good views. And then over here, Fletcher Peak. And if I have to come back down this way through all of this fun stuff, one good point is, no, I won't get lost, because you're not going up this ridge. You're not going up through all of that stuff. So the only way is just to stay right in the center here and head back down. So it's a kind of an experimental adventure here, and nothing to lose, just a lot of interesting things to experience. So here we go, continuing on. Let's see, let's get a shot further up and further in. Here's some good news. After ascending through that initial area that is just, it was totally, well, this is what it looked like. Aspen, rocks. It was not too bad though. I could weave around the trees. I didn't have to break even one branch of any of these trees, because there was always a way to weave around, and I always try to leave no trace where I go. So yeah, so far it's been okay. It's just been a little tedious. They're looking back on Cathedral Rock and Mummy Mountain, and looking up, you can see that the terrain has cleared a bit, so this could be nice. But and you can see the top up there in the sun, and you can see the burn area, the top of the South Ridge of Kyle Canyon. The one part that is concerning me is this cliff area, and is there a way around or through it? I'm hoping there is. If there's not, then guess what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be turning around and heading back down through that. And it's nothing dangerous, nothing horrible, just a lot of careful, slow weaving around bushes, trees. Fortunately though, as you can see, they're all pointed downhill. So on the uphill, they were all pointed at me. On the downhill, I'll be going in the direction of the branches. And so it may not be as difficult as it was coming up. So here we go. Let's take a look at the next section. And I know that I'll at least get to where that cliff action starts up there. and see if there's a route that's gonna take me up either to the right or the left or straight up through to that sunspot up there. Okay, and to give you an idea of where we're at, we've ascended close to 1,000 feet so far from the South Climb trailhead, and I believe it's been about an hour and a half, so I still have an hour and a half before I reach the time that it would have taken me to get to that sunspot had I gone up the regular South Climb trail. So we're doing all right. Okay, further up and further in. Continuing up this wash, as washes go, this is fairly tame. I have not had to crawl under any trees or bushes. I have not had to put my hiking sticks down and climb with 2 hands and 2 feet on the rocks. So it's been fairly easy. It's just been a matter of weaving around and finding the steps. There's a natural stairway here. If you just take your time, look for it. The only thing is I'm at 8,200 and the top of Kyle Canyon is more in the area of 10,000, the top of this South Ridge. And so what I'm looking at up ahead is, the highest point there is about 8,500, which would still be 1,500 feet below the elevation at the top of the ridge. So I have a feeling that when I get around the corner, I may be surprised at an additional elevation gain that I had not seen from the bottom. Maybe what I'd seen was a false summit. I do not know. We're going to find out. And just a 360-degree view. As you can see, lots of aspen. But I did not have to climb through any of those aspen, which is good news. I've just stayed on the wash here, and it's been fairly easy so far. And there is Cathedral Rock and Mummy Mountain. So we're continuing on up, and let's see what things look like up ahead here and beyond this corner. The wash takes a turn to the left, and hopefully it's going to continue to look very doable. We'll see. Only at 8,200 feet, we're beginning to, well, 8,300, but big deal. We're beginning to encounter some ice. Now, the definition of a glacier is something that does not thaw out through the whole summer. And maybe this is a tiny little glacier section, who knows. But anyway, that gives us an additional little challenge. We can get around the ice down here, but if there is ice up ahead and more of it, that could be a little bit of an issue, because we're not prepared to climb up an ice cliff. So let's hope this is just a little momentary ice section. And there we are, a look at the, I don't think that's the top. I think that's just along the way. And looking down, there's a look at what we've been coming through, but still moving ahead very easily. Okay, onward, around the ice, and upward. Well, here's a little ice waterfall. And we're continuing on up. It's starting to get a little bushy again. Now I've got bush, rock, and ice to navigate. And you can see there's a whole ice section. I was able to go around it. Definitely not going to go up it. It's like a skating rink there. So I definitely want to keep my feet off of that. But it's a nice little ice waterfall here. Okay, with about 2,000 feet to go to the top of the ridge and hitting rock walls and ice and bushes and rocks, avalanche slopes, and a new one that's emerged lately, thorns all over the place. I am going to turn around for now, maybe come back here in the summer. It looks like it's still doable up to this point and maybe a little further. But and there you can see down, there's the top of Cathedral Rock. We're about at 8,500. We need to get to 10,500. So that's where the top of Kyle Canyon is. And I'm thinking 2,000 more feet of this in these conditions, and it's very, very cold up here. It's probably about 25 degrees right now. I'm gonna head back down and then take a little bit of a trip up that other approach just to see how that looks in comparison to this one. So there you have it for today, and at least for this second approach from the back side of Cathedral Rock. Okay, fun adventure. Well, we're back on the Cathedral Rock Trail. It took about an hour and a half to go up that second wash, and it took about 40 minutes to get back down. So I'm sure I could get up to the 8,500 foot point in about 40 minutes. Add another 20 from the trailhead, so about an hour I could get up to 8,500 feet, but there was a lot left to go. Now we're going to try just a little bit of the way up that first turnoff, just to see how long it takes to run into a brush and rock covered wash. So we'll see. Well, I'm only about 50 feet up this second wash, and it is a skating rink. And so, no, I don't think I'm going to try it right now. I can see that it heads up that area, but it is just ice, ice, ice. And there's no footholds, even with, maybe with really sharp crampons, you could get footholds on this, but it's not something that I'm going to even try today. So glad that I experienced the ice at the bottom, so I didn't get part way up through brush and debris and then experience the ice. Anyway, so that pretty much concludes my experience today on the backside of Cathedral Rock. And I think that both of these washes, when they're not so icy during the summer, could actually be possible. Not sure, but it's not going to be something that happens until maybe next June or July. We'll see. Probably July. Okay. Well, that concludes the adventure for today. 2 washes on the backside of Cathedral Rock. This is the first. The other one that we spent more time on today was the second. Both pretty much blocked by ice this time of year, unless you have special equipment that I do not have and the desire to climb on ice, which I do not have that either. Okay, signing off.